Really excited about this podcast today, the BVA Boardroom podcast. Our guests, LeAnn Hume, Andrea Nilson, and Julie Kissler. This team, especially LeAnn and Andrea, for a long time, been the premier retail brokerage team in the Treasure Valley. They've done deals all over the place. And I wanted to have them on because they just formed a brand new company after these years that will be the premier retail real estate brokerage in the Treasure Valley. Summit Commercial Real Estate Group. We had a great podcast. I think you'll enjoy. Dove into lots of like talk about social media and North Dakota and lots of other stuff. It was fun conversation. Hope you enjoy it. Hey guys, welcome to the big podcast.
Thank you for having us.
It's snowing like crazy outside, and
Yes.
you braved the weather to get here.
We did. We have a North Dakota driver at the helm, so we're in good hands.
So, Ann, you grew up in North Dakota.
I did.
What part?
Minot, basically
Minot.
Canada.
That's cold.
It was negative 51 there on Saturday this week.
So we may or may not go pheasant hunting a lot there.
Oh,
So I have
okay.
every morning my Bowman, North Dakota thing, and I go see,
Oh, yeah.
and it's crazy. It was like minus 24, but so you're used to this.
No, I moved here a while ago, and I like it, and I'm never going back except in the summer.
Okay, so we have the team. Excited to have you guys on. New company.
We're excited.
We'll read a little bio before the episode, but just wanted to get right into talking about the retail team, like the retail team here in Idaho. You guys have leased more retail space than anybody, and just recently went on your own. So wanted to talk about that and talk about the retail market. So let's just start talking a little bit about each of you and your backgrounds, because it's pretty dang cool that you're doing your own brokerage and
Yeah,
out on your own. So
feels good.
tell me a little bit about your history and background in real estate, and then we'll get right into it.
Well, for myself, LeAnn Hume, I started Albertsons corporate real estate in 1998. So I'm heading into my 26th year, I guess. And I was brought up in a real estate family. My dad had his own real estate company in Nampa my whole life. My stepdad was a commercial real estate broker. So it was kind of just in my blood, but I never thought about doing this as a career. So I had graduated from college, and I had an opportunity to do the fuel centers at Albertsons
And Albertsons
Real
was
Estate.
booming right then, right? This is
Oh, well, it was
massive.
before we merged with all these companies. It was like the most perfect place to work, 400 stores. Gary Michael was the CEO, who everyone adored, and I was just so lucky to get into the ground floor of that. And it was myself, Gary Hall, who's now with CenterCal, Lance Wybe, who's done amazing things, and David Cadwell, who's still in town, and we just went out and put gas stations up. So back then, you had to be willing to be moved to move up in the real estate department, and that was not something I was willing to do. So went to the tenant side and eventually got into brokerage when I was done traveling and ready to stay home and do stuff in my own backyard, and started a commercial real estate company, convinced Andrea to come to the dark side and do this full time. And
Andrea coming from the dark side from North Dakota.
Well, I had been out here for a while already. I went to College of Idaho and played basketball there. So the head of their business department, Wallace Lonergan, thought the job at Albertsons would be perfect for me, which I started there as pharmacy acquisitions. So traveling and basically cold calling on pharmacists, trying to convince them to sell their business and transfer all their scripts to Albertsons and come to work for the company. So it was interesting, AAA map spread across the steering wheel, driving all over the state of Texas, just using my Spanish minor effectively, I think, and trying to convince these
Do you
guys.
remember maps?
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Thomas guides.
Oh, yeah.
The Thomas guys, like these youngsters, we'll get into them, and you don't even know what a map is.
I do, but
My kids are like
Google Maps.
like Google Maps. Like
Yeah.
it just tells you where to go. I used to deliver pizzas. One of my best friends growing up, his dad owned a pizza restaurant, and so we cooked pizzas and delivered them. We could make good money too. Everyone fought over delivering. But I think back in those days, like finding people's houses with a map, I tell my kids this, and they look like I came across the plains in a wagon or something.
Oh, yeah. I actually just parted ways with all of my AAA maps with all the dots. I threw them away in this office move. Finally, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to need them anymore.
You mean GPS is here to stay?
I think so.
Okay, that's the first takeaway from the podcast today.
Yes.
Okay.
You don't have to do site tours anymore. You can just look on Google Earth these
Right?
days. Yeah, I mean, seeing it in person, it can never be replaced. But
So then, Julie, a little bit about you, and then let's talk about the new thing.
Okay, well, I don't have as extensive as a background as these two, but I mean, my family is in the commercial real estate world as well. Never really thought about it, kind of like LeAnn, but then again, LeAnn caught me and drug me in. So that's really my background. I've been with them 7 years now. Yeah.
There's a
so-
statue of your grandpa right here in this building, right here by us. Right?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
I was over there a while ago trying to pick up something for a first aid kit, and they were giving me a really hard time. Like a really hard time. I didn't have an account or something. They should have been giving me a hard time, right? But I was trying to get some oxygen. And so I looked on the wall, and there's a picture of your dad, right? And then there's the statue of your grandpa. So I called your dad, and I said, hey, listen, there's this really handsome guy on the wall here that can probably help me out right now. And he helped me out, so...
Oh boy, don't give him a big head.
Well, so that's family business, and your sister's running it, right?
Yes, sir.
He's very proud of her, and he's very proud of you doing this now.
Yep. Hopefully.
That's great. So last time we talked, it was just before the end of the year.
you were in the know.
I was in the know. It was
Yeah.
fun being in the know.
Yeah.
So again, you guys have done most of the deals. I really want to get to that too, but tell me about how exciting it is to be. This is your new brokerage. People will see it all over. With commercial real estate, it's nice because you see signs first, right? So, name of the company and tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's called Summit Commercial Real Estate Group. And, we were lucky enough to start the office here for Cushman and Wakefield 13 years ago. And we've been through a lot of iterations of that being an affiliate office, and recently, 2 years ago, became corporate. And we've loved that brand and loved all the people within that company. And it was a great 13-year run. But we really felt like we've been doing this for 25 years, Andrea and I. And it's not a big retail, brand. And we do retail. So it would just felt like the right time for us to go do something on our own under our terms. And so I don't know how we did it, but we'll look back on this and say, how did we do this? But it's been like it was meant to be. It's just been that
It's just
easy.
felt good.
It's felt right the whole time, and everything fell into place.
So, if people want to look at your website and see what your listings are and your things, what's the URL and
SummitCreg.com.
SummitCreg.com.
Commercial Real Estate Group. Yep.
Yeah. And open for business and.
Yep. Got our little office down in the north end.
That's
and
fun though, isn't it?
It's so fun.
I think those are the best
work.
times.
Yes.
I think those are the very, very best times.
We
It's
need
cozy.
a shovel, though.
Yeah, we need to share all of our workways now. We don't have CAM anymore. We're just doing it ourselves. So,
Yeah.
That's the best kind of cam.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, how many of you came over, and tell us a little bit about your office? And I know you've got a few folks that came with you, right?
Just us three, and then we drug my sister along with us. So she had been on the residential side of the business, moved here from Ohio, and she joined us at Cushman for, I think she'd been there just about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And I said, well, I can't solicit you from the company. And she's like, you're my sister. You got me into this mess. I'm following you wherever you go. So it's just the four of us, and we have a marketing and IT specialist, which is really nice that we have that dedicated asset just for all of our projects, where we were sharing someone before with 16 other brokers. And then we have our, I don't know what her official title is. We're going to call her COO, boss of us.
She's amazing. She's been with us for 13 years.
Great.
She ran 5 offices for Cushman, and she'd left about a year ago, and so she's back
What's
in
her
the
name?
business. Jen Mace.
Jen Mace.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So, pretty easy transition for you.
Cushman has been amazing, really amazing. My hat's off to them. If we had gone to a major competitor, they may not have been as happy, but they are really happy for us, genuinely, and it's pretty nice.
Talk a little bit about how competitive the world is, though, like amongst brokers. It is a fairly competitive market because everyone's trying to get listings and do deals, and you got the tenant side and you got the landlord side.
Mm-hmm.
for those listening today, and well, let's talk a little about retail. Retail's different too. Like, we're the first to admit retail is just a different, in my opinion, you stop me, but it's much more long-term relationship based, because usually these tenants are looking for multiple spots over time, and it's usually kind of the same players that kind of are in the space and know each other, and it's very relationship heavy. Offices too, but office, you usually go in an office and you're there for a long time.
Right.
And then by the time you move offices, it may be a different CEO, it may be a different whatever, but retail is kind of the same group, right? That
Oh,
you-
I mean, Andrea, she did surplus property for Albertsons, which she did that for 7 years, and she learned some things during that tenure that should just blow my mind on a regular basis, because she had to solve problems in a very creative way. And she has relationships going back 25 years from that experience of selling real estate on behalf of Albertsons. And yeah, we when we do tenant rep work, we are thinking on a 5-year horizon all the time.
So let's talk about that a little bit. So if you're a tenant, so if you're, who are some of the big ones you guys represent? Name one, and let's kind of,
Well, Albertsons.
Albertsons.
Raising Cane's we're bringing to the market.
let's talk about Raising Cane's, because it's so good.
We're very excited.
So Raising Cane's, they hire you, and then they say, hey, trusted real estate group locally, vet the market, vet the demographics, tell us where we should go, start helping us look for and acquiring property. I guess they're looking for new sites, right? Because they're ground up, standalone kind of things. And then you go, right?
Yep.
I think the thing that it always makes me laugh when people are like, oh, that Dollar Tree just came up overnight. And I'm like, well, I've been working on it for about 36 months now to get it to where it's at. And that's the thing, like Raising Cane's, I think we started calling them just over 2.5 years ago, probably, saying, we know that you're going to come to this market at some point, and we would like to be the people to help you. And then we just call them every 3 months until they've threatened to file a restraining order against us. And, persistence in this business and follow-up really pays off. And it's great, because we had actually worked with the new real estate manager at Raising Cane's when he was at Cup Bop.
Okay.
And we'd just done a couple of Cup Bop deals in our new Albertsons anchored center out at Eagle and Amity. And so talking about relationships, when they leave a retailer, they just go to another retailer. So they grow your network by moving from retailer to retailer in that way too.
It's freaky. Like, just the few months with Fred, rooting with what we're doing.
Yeah.
It is like, he knows everybody.
Yeah.
And has, and a lot of times, like we just last week had their movie theater guy that comes and do the studies. Been doing it with Fred for 33 years.
Wow.
And it's like these deep, like, it's just, like you said, they've kind of followed each other around and done great things together, but it's very much trust, right? And then it's like people saying, hey, I trust you to do this, and find locations. Locations are important though, right? I mean, they are trusting you. They're coming up here, they're going to spend a boatload of money to get new locations and open stores and being in the right locations. I think the location on 10 Mile though, the district out there, is probably like,
That's
probably the number one, the number one location.
Everybody wants to be there.
I think everybody wants to be there, right?
It's a great location.
I'm totally
just
kidding.
crossing
I
our
hope we
fingers.
get a Raising Cane's there.
Yeah.
That would be
Or
great.
she's writing it right now, so you're going to
Awesome.
see it.
Great.
Very soon.
So on the then the landlord side too, you also do that. So you have spaces that someone wants to build and lease. They come to you and say, hey, go find me tenants. So then that's where the marriage happens on the retail side, correct?
Yeah, and we do a lot of merchandising of centers too, where we just know the retailers that are active that would be the highest and best use for these centers. And so between that and the underwriting, Andrea's great at that. We love taking centers from dirt to finished. And
Dirt to done.
And
Sounds like a
that's-
tagline, Maddie Rabe.
Dirt to done.
Dirt
yeah.
to done.
I like that. But as far as it being competitive, you're right, it is. But to be totally honest, because of those relationships that we've had for 25 years, we're just so busy servicing our clients that we're not really competing out there right now. And that not to sound arrogant at all, but we are just so busy servicing the people that come to us for help.
I know you guys. You
That
can be
we're
a
not
little bit
like
cocky.
pitching against other people
I know
right
how
now.
good you are. I know you don't have to, right?
Well, it's not that we don't have to, but we've been lucky enough to stay very busy
You've
with
taken really good care of
relationships.
people for a long time, and you have
Yeah.
great reputation, and people come to you, right? On both sides.
Yeah, that's what we hope.
Well, and I don't ever look at other brokers as competitors. I look at them as colleagues, because we
Yeah.
continue to work, on projects together over and over and over and over again. So it's
a
I mean,
small
it's a
world.
very small world, and it doesn't end here. It's, great relationships that we have in California and Montana and Oregon and Washington and Arizona, and that's how we get these new to market concepts that we're bringing in. We see them expanding in all the states around us, and we know it's a matter of time before they're going to end up here. So we start that farming and building that relationship well in advance of the tenant actually coming to the market.
We kind of eat, sleep this business, really, but we love doing it, and we have fun doing it.
So speak to the art of the deal, right? So I think people, in fact, a really nice kid, I saw him last night at the Boise State game, just got into brokerage with one of the other firms, and he came up to me, and I know he's been there like 6 months. I'm like, hey, how's it going? He's like, oh, really, really good. His eyes are this big. It is taking, to your point, Andrea, taking a site or a tenant on either side from I want to be here to closed, and when that thing gets signed, right? There is an art to it, because you're meeting a pro forma. Someone's got a pro forma financially. That's got to work on both sides. Hey, here's what we can pay. Well, here's what we can do. Yep. And it is an art. So talk to a little bit about that. It's fun. I think for people considering like real estate and brokerage and whatever, it's very fun, but it's also very challenging. It takes some time.
Absolutely. I mean, I love this business because after this many years, I still learn something new every single day, and that is pretty amazing. So Andrea's, I think she's the master of the art of the deal, honestly, because she's got so much experience doing very complex deals. And she always wants the best for all of her tenants. So,
well, I enjoy it.
I feel like Dre tracks down the complex deals.
I might seek them out.
She
I'm not
actually,
sure.
if we just brought her a deal on a platter and said, this is going to be so easy, do this deal, she'd be like, I'm just going to go do this one over here because it's much more complicated and difficult. She loves a challenge, so she doesn't do the easy deals.
Well, I do. I mean, Carolyn Bach was my boss for the majority of my career at Albertsons. You know, she's taking Jackson's to a whole nother level with the level of acquisitions.
Can we give Carol a little love on this podcast?
Yeah, we sure
We were
can.
just with her last night.
You were?
Yep.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
She's
We love her.
amazing.
She's
and
a dear friend.
brilliant, and she said something to me not that long ago that really, I almost started crying, because she said, you know, it looks like the student has surpassed the teacher, which is the ultimate
that's cool.
compliment from her.
It is.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And what she meant by that is when you mentor someone and they become better than you, there's nothing better than that, right? That
Yep.
she sees that happening in you.
We were
It
very
takes time
lucky.
though, right? I mean,
Oh.
to your point, I mean, I'll never forget, like my very first day, you get through medical school and you become a resident. And so I show up my very first day of residency, my very first shift with a guy named Frank Walter. And he ended up being one of my favorite attendings. But the very first day, I'm seeing patients, trying to impress him, and he would say the same thing every single time you'd come up to him. He's like, you're jumping to conclusions a little too quickly. He's like, wisdom comes from bad experiences. Bad experiences come from lack of wisdom. Let's slow down a little bit. And I think that nothing is more true, right? You have to have those deals go wrong or bad, or I didn't see that, or I didn't expect that. And so it's hard to train someone, and you're kind of like, hey, I'll help you through this. But until you step in it, you don't step in it. Then you step in and go, okay, I'm not going to step in it again.
Yep.
And you learn from the deals, and I think that just takes some time, right? That's where the
for
wisdom
sure.
comes in.
I mean, we say it all the time, bringing somebody new into the business. I love what I do so much that I've talked so many people into getting this business, and some of them have been really mad at me for doing that because I made it sound so great and easy, and it's not. I mean, it's 10,000 hours, and then you start maybe making some money. And what's that, 5 years? I mean, it's not for the faint of heart, and it's not a forgiving business. It's not, you know, there's some bad actors out there, and so you gotta have thick skin too. But it's a lot of learning.
Let's, if it's okay, talk a little bit about retail. So Fred said this when I interviewed. He's like, I've been through three or four deaths of retail in my career, right? And it wasn't too long ago when Amazon, everything was going online. It literally was the narrative of retail's dead. You might have some quick serve retail, but it was just like
I know,
everything's
I
going away, right? And
You know,
nothing could be farther from the truth. In fact, I think what people are seeing is, yes, you need to have both, right? You need to have a great online presence and top of your game there. But it seems like, especially for the right goods and people still wanting to touch and feel and try on, there's still room for retail. And then I think this lifestyle stuff that Fred's doing is really great. And then talk a little bit about restaurants. I mean, and then, sorry, that's a big setup. Do that, and then talk about the pandemic and what that did.
Well, I think the one thing that in my mind became very apparent during COVID is that a drive-through is critical. and tenants that didn't ever consider having a drive-through after COVID. Everybody wants a drive-through, and there is a little bit of a battle with the municipality, which they're saying, absolutely no more drive-throughs. And I think, wow, they have very short memory of what just happened. And
Isn't that crazy?
It's just crazy to me.
Those are guys that have never risked a dollar.
Yeah.
Hey, no more drive-throughs because why?
Because they don't like the way they look.
I know.
They don't. And I will give some credit. I had a very difficult situation with the building that used to have a drive-through. The drive-through was still there. The city said absolutely not. They said, you have to move the building to the corner of the lot. And I said, has common sense actually left the building? And he took the time, he went out, he looked at the site. He said, I totally see what you're saying. It's another bank. It's not an intensive use. We will grant you a conditional use permit. But that took me 18 months to get through that process. And again, it's that persistence to get something done through all of the municipalities right now because we're growing so fast.
Yeah.
So they have a huge pipeline of deals that are just, waiting for the entitlements and the development agreement, some of the development agreements that have been negotiated that are now being amended because they're realizing the product type that they approved is not working. Yeah. And so same for them. It's trial and error. And I think common sense is an important thing to keep in mind as we're going through this growth and trying to give customers what they want, which tends to seem to point to a drive-through for a lot of restaurants and a lot of customers. Moms who have kids, they don't want to get out of the car and take all 3 kids into a place to get dinner. They're going to pick the place where they can drive right through and order and grab it and head out.
What are you seeing with the delivery services and your retailers?
They all want a couple parking spaces dedicated to them for that reason, right? To just somebody can run in, grab the order, and leave. So, I mean, my son spends a lot of money on whatever that delivery service is, that
I know.
delivers Chick-fil-A for
I've got
3 times
2
the
of
amount
those
of
at
money.
home too. I'm ready to be done with it.
Oh,
I
actually don't want the notification on my phone that someone used my card for DoorDash because it makes me want to.
right. Blood pressure.
Oh yeah,
through the
like
roof.
son of a.
Yep.
I told my son the next time I see a DoorDash charge from Boise State at Chick-fil-A, I'm cutting him off. Like, that's insane.
Did it work for you?
I don't even do it for myself. So I had to really, crunch down on him on that. So now he actually walks, 3 blocks from his dorm to Chick-fil-A to go get it.
But the
Imagine
parking
that.
spaces are the big thing. But really, it's like, to her point, the vision of municipalities and how retailers have to do their business are so far apart.
Yeah.
That, getting those things a little closer together as you're doing projects, unless you have a lot of pull like you do, to tell cities exactly what you need
Hey, wait a
and
minute,
let
wait a
them grant it to you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I
We are humble servants of our local
Of course you
jurisdictions.
are, but I think when you have the respect of municipalities and they can take your word and put it into practice as far as what they're approving for you, that's huge.
I will tell you, like one of the as we get older and grayer and wiser, going in early and coming up with a development agreement and master plan and trying to really show a vision up front saves a lot of time down the back end. So we probably spend an inordinate amount of time up front making sure that we get all that lined out so that down the road you're not.
But you don't
fighting
just
over
say
it.
yes to everything they want,
Right.
right?
Oh,
I
no.
mean, that's
Well, there's some crazy stuff too. I don't think people understand. You have a comprehensive plan that was done
Yes.
15 years ago.
Yep.
And then you have an overlay that's specific to the district that sometimes is in conflict with the comprehensive plan. And then there are these maps that were sent, and then you buy the property and you're like, okay, the zoning doesn't fit, the overlay doesn't fit. Some of it's nonsensical, but thank heavens, I think in Idaho, we're not California, because you hear horror stories there, that most of the time you have really good people that are helping you through.
Yeah,
I will tell you, it's different now. I think that they have a lot of new staff. A lot of that new staff came from jurisdictions that were very highly regulated. So the irony to me is you leave California because you hate regulation and you hate everything. You come and work for the city of Meridian and you bring all that garbage with you. And now you're the king or queen of regulation at the city of Meridian.
Yeah, ironic.
Yeah, I think as people continue to move here from California, it's like, please leave your regulations and your driving skills where you came from. Just leave them.
Yeah. I need more people from North Dakota.
That's right.
Have you seen Fargo?
Of course, I've seen Fargo.
My son, Maddie Ray, got me onto it. I watched the first season, binged it last weekend. And I love their accent.
Oh, boy.
Oh boy, did you hear that?
Yeah.
I'll phone you later.
I'll phone you later. There's just something funny about a North Dakota accent and like murder. I don't know. It's just so dark.
It just doesn't go together.
And I like the ice fishing auger to bury the bodies
Oh,
in the
yeah,
lakes.
you know.
You know a little bit about that?
Oh, gosh. It's just, it was a really great place to grow up.
I'll bet it
And-
was.
And the people there are probably some of the hardest working, nicest people. My parents still have a lake cabin there. I go back every summer and see all of my friends. And today, LeAnn was actually touring with a tenant, and they have a location in Minot. And I said, oh, I've been to your location in Minot. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. I said, well, you do great business there. He's like,
it
yeah, it's
sorry
just
or
so,
sorry?
It's just so cold.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Put it in the bag.
Put it in the bag. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. So let's talk about the Valley. You guys have always taught me or told me the MSA is really important, and once we hit 1 million, things happen. Where are we?
I quoted almost 800,000.
Did you look that up, Maddie Ray?
I feel like we're
Almost 800, I would want to say. Everyone has
I feel
different.
like 875 is what I'm.
Oh.
yeah.
We take that.
Okay.
I was going to say 900. Can I get
He's saying
925?
801. That's at 801 in somebody's stats.
What's talk? I don't even know what that is.
The number of times my mom has asked me that question when they put out their new signs is a lot of times.
Totally kidding. Mike Christensen would never listen to this podcast anyway.
Mike Christensen. No, wrong group.
801,000. This was last. When was this, Matthew? Was this last 2023? So we're up there.
Yeah. I mean, we're on so many people's radar. I mean, look, we got our first In and Out. I mean, we've said 1 million for IKEA, but who knows where that, once we hit there, who knows what
Do you
they're
wanna
going to
know
be
a funny
doing.
Fred story.
Yeah.
So we're doing this property together at 10 Mile, right? And I'm saying to him, like, we're talking about anchors, and I said, it would be really cool to get an IKEA. And he goes off on a long story about how the founder of IKEA has been in his biplane and he's done aerials with
yeah,
him. And it's like this, I mean,
He can probably get an answer in about 5 minutes if they'd consider that site. I'm sure he already
do
has.
you think Fred's going to listen to our podcast after he was on?
I hope so. I'm
Fred,
going
can
to
you-
call him
Yeah.
and ask him to.
Okay, so IKEA would be a good one. What are some other things we should be looking out for here that's new to market?
Well, you're going to laugh when I tell you this, but also in our office move, I threw away a lot of hard copy files, and I actually had my original listing package for when I had the 27 acres listed at 10 Mile for $5 million. It was
$5 a square foot.
and I couldn't get any takers, and you know who I called was Steve Scheel, because where is he
Yeah.
from? North Dakota.
North Dakota.
So I called Steve and I said, and he answers the phone, picks it up like he's an everyday guy, and I said, you really, really need to do a store in Boise, and this is where you need to be. And he looked at it and he goes, that is in the middle of nowhere. And look, here they are.
Andre's ahead
Okay.
of her time.
Here they are.
It's not story time, but I'm going to tell you a story.
Okay.
So we're going back to visit Steve Shields in North Dakota, and we're on a CJ4 to land there, okay? And we've got our team, and we were looking at a couple other things when we were back there. So Mark Cleverly is in the front seat with the pilot, okay? And it's horrible, Andrea. You would understand the wind. Like, we take off, and he's like, hey, we might not be able to land there. It's the worst, storm ever, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we're on approach, and you know how they have to fly sideways and kind of do that thing where they land, and we're freaking out. Like,
Yeah.
like we're freaking out.
right now.
And the curtain's open, so we're looking out the front window, and instead of seeing this, we're kind of going in sideways, and we're bouncing, and everyone's like, truly, like, no one's kidding around. We're like, this, I hope we land,
Yeah.
right? So the pilot, Mark, reaches back, and he shuts the drape. And we're thought, oh, that's funny. He just doesn't want us to look out or doesn't want us to freak out. And so then we come in, and we land, everything's okay, and we hop out. I'm like, Mark, that was the craziest landing ever, the pilot, Mark. And he's like, oh, it wasn't that bad, we'll be okay. We'll have to watch when we leave. But he was no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Cleverly is white. He's green. He's like ER green. It's like that pasty, yellowy, greeny, just before I pass out thing. And I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, you're not going to believe this story. I said, what? He's like, we're coming in on approach. I said, yeah, he shut the curtain just to be cute, whatever. He's like, no, he had to take a leak. He shut the curtain and took a leak in that windstorm and landed in North Dakota.
Wow, that is nails.
That right there.
That's a good pilot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Multitasking at its
I don't know how that made the podcast, but it's North
No.
Dakota. It's
all
the
the
chills.
things. It's all the things.
It's all the things.
Yeah.
Resilience. Yeah.
What else? What else is coming here?
Oh, geez.
We gave you and Chris Byers probably a list of 12 of our tenants that we want to be in your center.
Okay.
I mean,
You don't have to. We don't need to
oh
let that
no,
out
we're
the
not.
market.
Yeah, we're not divulging, but I mean, yours is probably the most exciting. We've loved this property forever.
Yeah.
As far as major announcements of people that are coming that nobody knows yet, and Don Day hasn't announced yet, probably nothing.
Damn Don Day.
That we can say he's
That
good at
guy.
checking
He's awesome.
those permits. Those building permits. But I mean, we're really active with a lot of tenants.
Good. So a lot of people looking new to the
Yeah.
market.
Yeah.
And new trends, drive-throughs,
Always.
always.
We need to get our infrastructure figured out.
Let's talk a little bit about that, LeAnn. What are some of the challenges you see us facing in the coming?
Well, I mean, it's a great example. The project will go unnamed, but we're all from the east side of town. And so there's just a
Welcome to
line.
Meridian, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. It takes a lot to get us over here. It really
On a
does.
snow day,
I
past
mean,
16th
other than
Street?
a tour with a tenant, we are staying on the east side because,
Snobs.
and the California people would laugh at this. Traffic, it's relative, but you can't get us to Chinden and Linder, something like that. Like, no, I don't even know what you could build out there to get us out there. Just from our homes and then go back that same night. What? That's crazy.
The developer of that project lives in my neighborhood, and he asked me that question, and I said, well, if you're going to run a free shuttle from the neighborhood, I'll think about it. But outside of that, it's probably just not going to happen.
So your point of roads are
I mean, we
maxed.
just don't, I think a lot of our streets, northwest, east, west, north, south, are carrying a lot of the traffic that should be probably moving a little bit better on like a loop road and it's foresight. And I guess maybe, I don't know who didn't have all the foresight, but I think it's something that is making more of an impact here than I've ever seen, and I've been here my whole life.
Yeah, so we've got a little group we started called Idaho 2040, and it's a group of CEOs, and then Elaine Clegg and some people from other jurisdictions are helping us. But we're trying to, from the business side of things, say how do we be helpful to the
Yeah.
jurisdictions? And I think the sad facts are ITD. We had them come in and talk to us. There's room for one more lane on 84.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And when you ask them how far does that get us, it's like they kind of shake their heads like, well, probably 10 years. But then there's really no plan after that. And then I think the new Highway 16 is going to be great.
Yeah,
but
I
at
do
some
too.
point we're going to need some pop off from State Street and some sort of a loop. And so we're trying to be helpful. I
Yeah.
don't know, but I think it's a problem. It's funny because we're talking about an awareness campaign, like to get people aware of how bad
Mm-hmm.
the problem is. And I said, well, our best awareness campaign is going to be 5 years from now. You're going to try to get on the connector or freeway
Yeah.
to go anywhere, and you're going to be like stuck, and then people
Well,
will
it
be
keeps
aware.
people in their little, neck of the woods,
Yeah.
just like what we're doing is then people are going to stay closer to home.
Yep.
And you're going to have to get retail to service those people.
How
because they're not
easy has
gonna
that been? I was going to
travel.
ask you. So up Eagle Road, Eagle and Amity, you guys just leased out that whole entire
Yeah.
corner. It's an Albertsons there. It's actually right by Maddie Rabe's house.
Yep.
I go there all the time.
Good.
But what do you got going in there? And is that a great example of kind of community retail?
Well, I think so, and I think you see that, there, and you see what's happening in Star, and CUNA.
Star's
and
got a
Emmett,
disaster, don't they?
And
Going through
they
Star?
They do, but I think, they just approved, a 10,000 home master plan golf community out in Star. To me, it's like, this is a no-brainer. You need to get these services closer to people because they're not gonna, even look at Caldwell right now. Commuting in from Caldwell to Boise every day, it could be 45 minutes, but it also could be an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really fueling more neighborhood centers, like the Eagle and Amity, like the Star, like the CUNA. I remember when we did that first corner out in CUNA, and people were like, you guys are crazy. There's never going to be enough demand out here for that whole corner of retail. And now the southwest corner
You're
is full,
talking to
southeast
my
corner's
peeps that
full.
live out there now.
Yep, the northwest corner is well underway with a bunch of tenants.
What do you got going on Northwest?
Let's see, who can we announce? We
If
can't
you
really
can't
announce
I
anybody
can't
there
help.
yet, but
That's all right.
Almost all of it, but
Almost
we
all
still
of
have
it.
some stuff in the back that could be like mid-sized box, but Julie, would you like to tell what we're doing at Eagle and Amity?
Yeah.
Is that your
At
project?
Eagle and
Julie?
Amity or at CUNA?
At Eagle and Amity, because we can't announce all of those.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Say,
Eagle and Amity. Okay.
The
Yeah,
Albertsons.
The Albertsons, yeah.
Yeah, so we have Tide, Creative Nails, Club Pilates,
Yep.
and then we've got Jersey Mike's,
Yep.
Cut Bop, Heartland Dental. Oh, boy.
There's credit.
US
union, right?
Bank?
US Bank?
U.S.
Or no.
Bank is in Star.
US Bank Star.
P1FCU credit.
P1
union.
E1FCU.
I think they opened already, actually, at Eagle and
Yeah, I
Amity.
think so too.
So we've got like 23 and 2,800 square feet left
That's great.
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
Eagle and Amity. It was
Great
only
exa-
23.
Great example of infill development, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those folks out there are really in need.
Yeah.
Beautiful store, too.
Yeah,
It's
it
a
is.
Great store.
Yeah.
It's a great store.
Yeah.
Julie, what have you learned from these two?
That is a loaded question.
Besides the swear words.
I mean, it's endless, the amount of information. I think I'm so lucky to have gotten in with them, thanks, LeAnn, when I did, and to start with them, too, and then to be able to go on this next journey, if you will, with them. And, I mean, I'm learning every day, like LeAnn said, and learning from them. I mean, sitting now in our new office, we're all in one big room, and so the phone calls and the conversations that I'm listening in on, it's Dre grimaces, but
You're just soaking it all in.
yeah. And I mean, even 7 years into the business, I'm still learning.
You're going to be her Carolyn in a few years.
Oh, boy.
Well, maybe more than a
I
few
would-
years.
I
I
would
still
love
have
that.
so much to learn, but it's been awesome. And
What do you like about it?
the relationships, learning something new every day. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I got into the business. And then just the challenges too that we're facing. I mean, every day, every deal is different. So it's,
I love just you have to find win-win solutions. And I when I'm describing what we do to people, this is a really weird analogy, but when you were a little kid and you played those games at birthday parties where you try to keep the balloons off the ground, imagine a room full of balloons. We've got 60 deals going, and every day you're just trying to make sure one of those balloons does not hit the ground. And you're just trying to tip a few of them every day, and that
I love
gets
that
them
analogy.
over the
What
finish
are
line.
some of your pearls or what's your isms? What are your LeAnn and Andrea isms?
LeAnn with the analogies. She's got a ton of them. If I could wave my magic
yeah,
wand.
I did get
I was just
a,
going to say that, too.
I did go to graduate school to be a counselor before I
You did?
discovered that this is really in my blood and that I have to do real estate. But mine is, if you could wave your magic wand, then what would it look like? And that's a big counseling phrase, but it works in real estate too.
Which is funny. We have in our new office, we have like kind of this little back room, and it's full of windows, and it gets all the sun, and we put a sofa in there, and we call it the therapy room, and we have all these sayings all over the walls, and we do live by those, like, don't wish for it, work for it. Easily distracted by shiny objects. That one's for me, for sure.
I didn't know that you had this back room. I was just like, I am a
yeah.
great interviewer.
Yes,
Who
yeah.
would have known you had
up on
a
that.
new office, new back room with pearls on the wall?
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to hear about these.
Work
You know,
hard, play hard.
Work hard, play
Work hard,
hard.
play
for
hard.
Literally on
sure.
our website.
Wave your magic wand.
Yep. Easily distracted by shiny objects. That goes back to the balloons.
Is
you know.
there any, like, my dad has several, like, you don't know shit from Shane Nola?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anything like that? Anything?
Well, don't be afraid to say I don't know. That's a good one. It's
You guys
not
are so
very.
much
I
more
know.
gentle.
I know.
I go back to Wayne Gretzky. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I like that one.
LeAnn gave me one when I was working on a more difficult deal, and she said, "What are they going to do? Take away your birthday?" I forgot about that one, didn't you?
Yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, in this business, I don't know about all other brokers, but people ask me like, don't you get upset when a deal dies? And I really don't. I don't think you do.
I just get out the
I mean,
paddles, bring it back
gets
to life.
very- She's passionate. We're all passionate about what we do, so we take it very seriously for our clients. But if a deal dies, if it was no fault of our own, it's like you go to the next one and you get it done. So we close big deals. I'm kind of just here in the middle all the time. Don't get super excited. Don't get really disappointed. You just go to the next deal, solve the next fire, or put the next fire out, solve the next question.
You're a deal junkie, though.
Oh, we love it.
Yeah, we all are.
We do love it. We love what we do.
It's fun.
It
I
is
think
fun.
I think it's probably one of the funnest parts of the whole deal, and it's bringing people. And at the end of it, you've really, you can look back and say, that was a lot of work. It almost died 5 times, and then you go and you have something tangible to look at, right? We have a little thing going on in Emmett right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. And
Is a great example.
yeah.
Been harder than you ever thought. It's
Oh, geez.
up and down all over the place. But someday there will be a building there and there will be a tenant there, and you'll be able to say, that sucked, but look what we
It's
were able to
satisfying
accomplish.
for
It's
sure.
satisfying, super satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other challenges you see Idaho. Let's talk about Idaho in general. What are some of the concerns you have about Idaho, and is it growth? Is it changing who we are? Is it infrastructure? Is it?
Geez, that's a tough question. I think for us and what we do, yeah, it's changing, but change is constant. So you either embrace it and try to figure out how you can continue to contribute and do good things and make your place a better place to live. And I think, you take a little bit from everybody that you meet over the course of this job, right? Or lifetime. You make relationships, you make friendships, but you learn what you want to be like and what you don't want to be like, and you kind of try to emulate those people that you look up to or that you admire, or that, like, for example, a colleague that I really admire is Peter Oliver. I really have a great working relationship with Peter. He's first class. He is straight shooter. We've done a lot of deals together. I consider him a very good friend of mine, and I always think he does everything right, in my opinion. He's
Great
just
example.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so
He's also an awesome father.
oh yeah.
Oh,
He
yes.
came on this podcast for Father's Day once, and it was just
His boys are
awesome.
his
Boys are
world,
incredible.
yeah.
They're handsome too. Holy,
They sure are.
you seen those guys?
I have.
Well, I haven't seen him for a while. One
I
of them
saw one
played
the other
lacrosse
day, and he
with
looked
my
like
son.
Adonis.
Yeah. Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah, handsome kids.
But as far as Idaho and other things that, that we're concerned about, other than just transportation infrastructure and just, vision, and hopefully the leadership, hopefully with your help, and I'd love that you're doing that, is just have the right vision so we're all heading towards the same goal.
Yeah.
25 years from now, what do we want to look like?
Yeah, what do we want it to be like for our kids?
I just
I
want us
love
to
what
be
you said,
nice. Boise or Idaho's nice. We're
Yeah.
nice, and I
Yeah.
want to stay nice. People nice, the environment.
There's a lot of rhetoric in the world right now. There's a lot of crazy.
Yeah,
It seems like it's gotten worse, and I'm ready for it to
yeah.
mellow out a little bit. But I think, will it ever? I think with the advent of social media, it became so easy, whether you're on the Nextdoor app or whatever, to just say whatever you want.
Yes.
And, I know they call them Karens and Brads or whatever the two names are, but it's almost become like, yeah, I can just say or do anything I want and be mean, and
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
it is. There's a lot of mean people.
Well, and I think social media can serve some great purposes, and it can be entertaining, but it can also be exhausting.
Yeah.
And I see that with, kids and having people form their opinions of other kids and the way that they take that out in social media. I think that's a problem. And I think you're seeing that turn into a bigger problem with kids and mental health and what they have to deal with every day.
What's the solution?
Well, let's not let our kids bring their phones to school. Why do we do that? Why do we ban books, but you can look up anything on your phone that you possibly want to look up? That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the common sense
it's
factor.
it's actually, when you start thinking about it, it's really crazy how it's changed. It's not that long. I mean, I've got kind of 2 older kids, 2 younger kids, and I look at my 2 older kids didn't have it, and when they went through,
Yep.
they also, when you came home from school, right? Right? You left that behind you, and you were present, and you talked, and you weren't connected, and then the next day you went back. But now you come home, and it's always there. It's always present, and it's.
Everything's a pendulum, it seems like.
People are
and
mean.
Maybe it has to get, and it's already happening in this community, even with suicides and kids and their mental health. It's like it gets to a point, it's a pendulum, and then people say, I've had enough, and you start getting it coming back to center. And then, unfortunately, it probably goes this way again, and it just goes back and forth. And hopefully that breaking point doesn't just destroy us.
Yeah. What do you think, Julie? You're not an old crotchety. I'm like,
We got 30s,
I'm like-
40s, and 50s going here.
I know.
So we got each.
and I'm like I'm for sure the Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn, Gran Torino.
Well, I think that's one thing that makes our team work so well. We have a lot of the same opinions about a lot of the same things. There's some things that aren't agreeable on. But I think for the most part, like LeAnn said, the pendulum, I think that we go way too far one way and then we start to come back and then we go way too far the other way. I mean, as far as social media goes, I mean, oh boy. I think that that's just, but then you look at a podcast like this, I mean, that's bringing people together. So there's the pros and cons of it.
Yep.
It is, we talked about maps, you think about like your work, think about the productivity back when we probably started. I think in the 90s.
Yeah.
I
Flip
thought-
phones.
When I started in medicine, I had a pager, right?
Yeah.
I would be driving down the highway and get a page about a patient that was
Yep.
having a problem. I would pull over, I'd find a payphone, and I
my
would
gosh.
call somebody,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Payphones disappeared overnight.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice that?
They did, and then you got your first. It was a brick to start,
Yes.
and it was like $5 a minute.
Yep.
And so you would get warned by the hospital, if you use these minutes, it's coming at you, right? So you'd be very careful, and then you got the flip phones, and then it just. But the iPhone, when I remember waiting in line for the first one, and then when you had that thing, you're like, oh wow, I can look up anything, and
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah, and we're all guilty of being sucked in, and all of a sudden you look and you're like, I've just lost an hour of my life. What have I been doing?
Do you do TikTok?
No.
You don't?
Gosh, no. I'm probably the most. Andre and I are not super IT savvy.
You didn't see my daughter did a viral one that I was on.
Oh.
Someone
really?
brought it up yesterday to me.
Oh,
I'll show it to you later.
okay. Love to see that.
I love the cell phone for music. It just gives you access to so much
I love it.
music. And
She's the best with cell phone.
What kind of music do you like?
I listen to everything.
Oh, she likes hip hop.
Listen to everything.
There's not a real estate broker from North Dakota that likes hip hop.
I mean, if you look at my top 5 playlists on my Spotify, it's probably got Chris Stapleton in there for
All right,
sure.
that's awesome.
Yep.
I love my 90s hip hop station.
That's her
I do
karaoke
have-
choice.
Example
also.
of a '90s hip hop. Is that like Belle Biv DeVoe?
Can't Stop This is her karaoke song of
Can't
choice.
Stop This.
Can't
Isn't
Stop-
that,
wait,
Can't touch us.
Can't touch it. Whatever.
This is no.
And
this is-
Leanne's is rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby.
That's old.
That's her.
Hey, Can't Touch This who was that guy? That was
MC Hammer.
MC Hammer, yes.
So my brother-in-law used to have a mullet halfway down his back, and he had a Fiero Arrow. Like
Oh
a
my
car,
gosh.
And on the back of it, he had written in white letters, "Can't touch this." That is the most. That is like the most early '90s thing there ever was.
Classy.
I mean,
Parachute pants,
Yep.
mullet.
the one band that Leanne and I share in common, which happens to be both of our favorite all-time band, is Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin. We have Led
I
Zeppelin
love
on our
that.
wall.
Yeah.
In the office. Yeah.
We do.
But she is very good about cell phones, and it's annoying in the sense that if you text her, if you get an answer, you're so lucky.
Really?
I mean, she does not. She's a very present person. She does not.
How do you
get
do
on
that
her
with
phone.
business?
You know, I mean,
She picks up and calls.
People call.
I'm a
people call her.
caller.
Yes.
I'm not a texter.
Yeah.
I would
You would
prefer-
drive me nuts.
I
doing a
prefer
deal.
not to do everything over email because I think you lose the tone and the
I mean,
spirit
that's
of the
awesome.
conversation.
That's why we're good partners, because I'm like, if you want to get somebody to respond right away, just call me, and I'll get things. We complement each other. All three of us do very much as far as our skill sets.
Do you know my new partner, Courtney Lydiard?
I don't know if I've met.
He's awesome.
Courtney.
But
met
he
him
is
either.
he is like he's got to have like some form of
Yeah, I heard you talk about him on a
makes him
podcast.
super
Yeah,
productive. But
yeah.
like I thought I was like if I text him right now, no matter what he is doing, he will text me back. I will
Wow.
call you and I will call you in 15 minutes or text you. What do you need? And I've become better at texting since I became his partner. But
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm just
I'm surprised because I think it's efficient. I think it's super efficient.
I do think it's efficient, but then I'm driving down the freeway and I get like, it's like ding, 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 and I'll just look at it and I will voice text back, call me. I don't want to send 45 text messages.
But she's just when she's in a place, she's present with those people, and she's not looking at her phone.
Led Zeppelin, MC Hammer, and just call me. I like it. North Dakota.
There you go. Simple.
Yep,
It's Fargo.
we're old.
Julie, you're a texter, aren't you?
Yeah, but I think that, I mean, you get stuff done so much faster if you just pick up the phone and call.
Yeah.
I could go both ways.
See?
Mentorship.
Yeah,
and
it's,
the young
it's
people
rubbing
today-
off.
It's all
it's rubbing
happening.
off.
The young people today don't have those skills.
They
of
don't have
picking
those
up the
skills.
phone and calling somebody.
I mean, if
And
I
I
have
have
to make
taught
a
my kids that.
doctor's appointment, I still want my mom to do it, but
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's good. No, that's a life skill I've taught my kids. A very high priority for me is I want you to be able to shake someone's hand, look them in the eye, and also be able to pick up the phone and call anyone. That is a life skill
Yeah.
for those kids, the younger generation, because they're not having to do that.
The communication skills are
Dwindling.
lacking.
Their damn dating and interaction too is so insane.
Yep. I always call my kids. I never text them.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to be more present. I'm going to do more phone calls.
That's always my New Year's resolution is to be more present.
What are your resolutions? We're January.
Oh, boy. Well,
I-
Julie's got me into boxing, so I'm
What?
doing that. Which
There's a boxing place right here.
Yeah, we go to the one down by the Ram.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
dope boxing.
Dope boxing.
Yep. It's bright and early.
Great
and
workout, right?
It's a great workout. So I think, eating healthier and being in better shape is always a
Yes.
New Year's resolution.
I love IPAs, so I'm trying to break up with that IPA boyfriend for many years, but
But he makes you so happy.
I know.
Why would you do that?
You can take a break just for a month.
I know. I did.
She's
did.
doing dry January. She's doing damp January. I'm like,
What's-
I'm on an island here.
What is like dry? I don't understand the draw. How did that start?
Oh, it's always just after the holidays. You just, it's just like a.
You just
I've
need
never
to dry
noticed
out.
it was a thing
restart.
till this year.
Yeah. Oh.
It's always been a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, keep it rolling.
Yes. Dry
That's
Is it?
January. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my stepdad's been doing it for years and years and years and years, and I hopped on the bandwagon or off the bandwagon.
You got on the wagon?
on the wagon, yeah. Maybe 7 years ago. So I've just been doing it. It's 1 month, and it's not that bad.
It's generally less entertaining the whole month of
I need to
January.
do that with Diet Coke. Like 1 month.
Ooh, you can't drink.
My kidneys wouldn't know what to do.
Oh,
We used to do that.
I know. We're doing, Soleil. We do the
You do,
fizzy water.
LeAnn, just because you said you started in the 90s, what are you, like, do you AG1 or anything like that? Do you guys,
AG1.
Athletic Greens?
Hey, I'm drinking that. Yeah.
I've been doing that. I've been doing ice baths.
That's what I have in the
Oh,
morning,
no,
yeah.
no.
It's fun.
See,
you gotta push
walk.
your limits.
I
Walking
leave
to
North
the
Dakota,
Pilates.
you do an ice bath. What is wrong with you? No.
Do you know the lady,
It's a thing
the
now.
world expert on that is from like Norway or one of those
Oh.
countries, and she says if you live in a cold environment, it essentially does the same thing. So if you like live in North Dakota and you like go out and feed your cows in the morning,
Have you heard of Wim Hof?
no,
Oh, my brother-in-law does Wim Hof breathing every morning, and if he can do it in the ice cold, like with very little clothes on, even better. Wim Hof.
listen, I'm a believer in this. I did it the first time like 6 months ago, and I was faithful, and I felt better than I had in a long
Yeah.
time.
I'm watching this Wim Hof method
Oh,
thing
hey,
right here.
let's look
That
this
looks
up.
miserable.
My brother-in-law does it every day.
So Wim, W-I-M Hof method.
Mm-hmm.
Maddie, what is this?
Who did that was in Gwyneth Paltrow's TV show, wasn't it, on
Gwyneth
Netflix?
Paltrow's weird. Right?
I don't know
Have you
anything
seen
about
some of
her.
the stuff? Like she's weird, but
I don't follow all that kind
She's
of stuff.
weird. Her series on Netflix, though, had some interesting...
Oh, you're gonna have to look into this, Tommy. This has you written all
hey,
over it.
like.
I
Look
can
at that
see- I can
picture.
see you
I
doing
don't
this.
know. I don't know that has me written all over it. But let's.
If you're taking cold baths, I mean,
am taking cold
I
baths.
just like to get into my hot tub. I do not look to get cold.
I'll
I
tell you
look to
something
get
funny
warm.
though. So I was doing these faithfully, and then my wife started wrapping Christmas presents, and she put them in our sauna to hide them. I'm like, I'm not going to do an ice bath if I can't go in the sauna, because
Right.
there's something wrong with that.
Right.
So I stopped for like 2 months, but I'm back. I'm
okay.
back.
That looks terrible.
Well, yeah.
'Kay.
He loves it.
Okay, parting shots here. Tell us where people can find you. I'm really proud of you guys. You've been good friends for a long time, and I think you're gonna do great things.
Thank you.
Hope
That
we do
means
a
so
lot-
much coming from
A lot
you.
of business together,
Yeah,
and thanks for always being good to us.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for
Same.
building great projects
Well,
that all of our tenants want to be in.
I hope so. I'm glad to hear 12 LOIs. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
If you want to track us down, we're in the former Trial Lawyers of Idaho office on Hayes between 15th and 16th.
Isn't there like bad juju with that being with an old lawyer building like
What is
that?
it? It was
No.
a VRBO right before us.
Okay,
So no, that got broken.
We've given it some personality. We call it Baby Ice.
Yeah.
Baby ice.
Yeah, because it's next to the ice houses.
Oh,
You
not
remember
an
all
ice
houses.
baby thing
Well,
reference.
that might be our Wi-Fi.
You are
name
such
of our
a
Wi-Fi.
you're such a North Dakotan.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just-
Do you ever spend time in Canada?
Well, I mean, Minot is just south of the Canadian border, so we used to go to Lake Metagoshi, and you can swim back and forth over the border. So
So you're close.
it's real close.
I went to Saskatoon to a Guns N' Roses concert with my son when he was like 14. And we got locked out of the hotel, snowed in, and at the concert, I've never seen so many drunk individuals in my entire life.
Why did you not just wait for him to come to Boise?
If you remember, they stopped touring and making music forever, right? And then Axl decides to tour, and I thought, because he's got diabetes, right? And he's done more drugs than like any pharma
I've seen
company.
them like 3 times.
Well, I have too in the years past, right? But I told my son, who was 14, I'm like, listen, he's going to die before he ever makes it to the United States. So let's go see him. So we went to Saskatoon, and all these drunk guys in the arena there, like out of their minds. And a guy fell. So you never want to tell anyone you're an ER doctor, right? Because he falls drunk from the top of the arena and bounces all the way down the stairs, hits the bottom of the stairs, and I'm sitting right there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to go over and
Oh, right.
I'm not doing CPR on this guy or anything like that. And I go over and he hops up and gives it the,
Okay, I'm okay.
they're always fine, right? And it was the end. Anyway,
Resilience, again.
it's just some good Canadian,
Well,
North Dakotan
they
blood.
drink a lot because they're inside like 10 months out of the year because it's freezing. So everybody hunkers down in their basement and throws back some bush light and calls it a day.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
And they're never hurt because they're always drunk. You're more relaxed, right?
you guys are awesome. Thanks for coming on, and we'll do this again sometime. It's fun.
Thanks for
love it.
having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for
All right,
having
bye.
us.